Hi Floppycatters, and welcome to a compilation video of my parents' seal mitted with a blaze ragdoll cat Murphy, who passed away last year, June 6, 2021. These are videos and images that I took of him throughout his life for you to enjoy. Thanks for watching. Murphy and his half-brother Camus came to live with my parents in 2004. They were born in August of 2004, 5 days apart, same father, different mothers, and then they came to Kansas City in November of 2004. We were originally looking for a seal mitted with a blaze ragdoll cat, which is what Murphy is. The blaze is the white stripe down his nose. Our then existing ragdoll cat was Rags. He was 15 years old, and Cindy Carpenter of Bluegrass Rags said, I wouldn't recommend getting a kitten with a 15-year-old cat. If you're going to get a kitten, you should probably get 2 kittens so that they'll play with each other and leave Rags alone. And it was one of the best pieces of advice we've ever received. That's Rags there, the dark one. Because they did end up playing with each other. They bonded as a pair and ended up having a great life together. Camus actually passed away on December 12th, 2020. And then, like I said, Murphy passed away 6/6/21. So they died 6 months apart, and one on 12/12 and one on 6/6. It was a really weird thing. Murphy's death was very unexpected. We had taken him to the emergency vet for some breathing issues, and he deteriorated from there. And unfortunately, it was all during COVID stuff still, so he ended up being in the cage in an oxygen chamber. We couldn't even visit him. And then ended up having to make an ultimate decision. So the last parts of his life weren't that, or last few days of his life weren't great, but looking through these videos reminds me of what a good life he did have and what a happy cat he was. And there's something about his spirit that makes me think he couldn't have had a long a long death, drug out type of death. He had to go quickly because that's just kind of the energy that he had. So this is Murphy meeting my ragdoll cat, Charlie, who is also seal mitted with a blaze. I think they met in 2009, and this was one of the times that I really was surprised by Murphy. I thought he'd have a lot of difficulty meeting my cats, and he was more accepting of them than Camus was. And Camus is a way more chilled cat than Murphy. Murphy kind of has, like I said, that fire energy. If you know like wood, water, wind, fire elements, Murphy without a doubt was fire. And so I was always surprised that he accepted my cat so easily. This is Camus and Murphy outside with my parents' then dog Napa. Murphy instantly got along with German Shepherds and dogs. Camus did not like dogs. So I felt like Murphy must have had like a past life with dogs, because he just told him who was boss all the time. He didn't let them mess around with him. He really enjoyed being outside. This was at my parents' house that where Camus and Murphy basically grew up. My parents ended up selling this house and moving to another one. This is the inside of that house. He's actually chasing a locust here, or a cicada is the more appropriate term. But dialectically, we say locust around here. This is Camus and Murphy on my bed. They played a lot with one another. Murphy was definitely the dominant cat, and Camus was the subordinate cat. But this was one instant where like a play fight turned into a fight, but they didn't really fight that often. Murphy loved to rub his pheromones on my fingers, so I'd always put my fingers down for him to do that. And also, he would always roll over on his side like that, which was really cute. one of the difficult things about filming with Murphy was that he always would come to you. He'd always come and say hi. Murphy was awesome at the vet. He wasn't as awesome as Camus. Camus was like, oh my gosh, just stayed paralyzed and let them do whatever. Murphy never hissed, never growled, but he still kind of like jerked around. Like when they would take his blood, he'd, you know, pull his leg back and stuff like that. So he wasn't a perfect patient, but compared to my Charlie, he was fantastic. Bo had really beautiful eyes. I forgot to tell you that I call him Bo. My mom named Murphy Murphy after seeing a billboard. She couldn't figure out what she wanted his name to be, and she was trying to think about it on the way home from a trip, and it came to her when she saw Murphy on a billboard. But I call him Bo. I always called him Bo whenever I saw him, Bobo. And I had a song that I sang to him that a friend of mine whose parents were from India taught me, and I have no idea if it's like accurate because this is like a memory that I have from being a little girl. But the song went like this. Bobo skiat not ne 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 many many dot dot bobo skiat dot. So I would sing that song to him when I saw him, and I always called him Bowie or Bo. Murphy was actually a pretty picky eater. That was me holding the spoon out after I had stirred their food, and he always was involved in mealtime but didn't always like what you served. Perfect example of Murphy and Camus's personalities. Camus hanging out inside the ceramic pumpkin, and Bo hitting the bat that's flying around it. Perfect example. As I said earlier, Murphy was great at the vet, so I wanted to show some clips of that as a reminder of how great he was. Whenever I went over to my parents, I would let Camus and Murphy outside, and when Murphy, because my parents' cats didn't go outside very often, my mom doesn't let her cats outside, when he would have the chance, he would go, and oftentimes he would take off running, which was so weird to me because Camus didn't do it, my Rags didn't do it, but Murphy would just be like, I'm free, like born free, and would just start running. And my parents had a decent sized yard, so he could run, but he'd often run into the neighbor's yard, and then I'd have to call the neighbor and be like, can I get in your backyard and go find my parents' cat? Because they had a wrought iron fence, so he could get through the prongs of the wrought iron. As you can see, Bowie was very playful. Here he is playing with I think that's a catnip ball. And as a dominant cat, he always got in Camus's way. Like, you know, he would always go after it. Even if I was playing with Camus. Murphy and Camus had totally different body types. Camus, as you can see, was a little on the thicker side, and Bowie had more of an athletic frame, and that was like true until the end. I mean, obviously Camus died of kidney disease, so he deteriorated slowly, but Bowie had a pretty decent frame until the end. He acted like a kitten for so long. There's a video at the end of this video. There's a clip at the end of this video that shows Murphy still playing as a kitten, or like a kitten, when he's 16 years old. Murphy and Camus were awesome with kids and babies. This is my nephew Marshall, who was born in 2009. So he's a lot older now, but they treated kids as if they had grown up with them, and they hadn't. Kids didn't really enter their lives until like when they were 3 or 4 years old. Or no, 5, when they were 5, because my nephew Marshall was born in 2009 and they were born in 2004. So when they were 5 was when they first started experiencing kids, and they were great. Look at their tails. So sweet. Here's Bowie, always wanting to be part of whatever's going on, and there's Marshall Man. Look at Bowie. Camus and Murphy helps me with product reviews for Floppycats, so they're in some of my product reviews. It was a little more difficult to get them involved in product reviews than my cats because I didn't see them all the time, and so not only did I not want to film and I just wanted to enjoy and spend time with them, but they also wanted to spend time with me. You know, they wanted to get pets and play, and they weren't really keen on, like, I don't know, testing products as much as I can get my cats to test products. The rolling around on floors I wanted to include in this compilation video because Camus and Murphy both rolled around a lot on this travertine floor that used to be in my parents' kitchen, and then also the slate patio they had. Murphy and Camus loved to roll around on that as well. Bowie loved to play. He would play any day. He also liked to haul things away that he caught, and he'd also vocalize when he did that. Here's another example of getting blood drawn at the vet. He was a good boy. Never hissing, never growling, just a little jerky. My Rags hated his ears being rubbed, so it wasn't until Camus and Murphy that I realized that cats like their ears rubbed. Bowie going crazy again. Such a playful cat.
Murphy. Do you want some treats, Murph? It's treat time for Murphy and Camus.
This is me doing airplane with Murphy. This is a storage place, a house my parents rented. Like a storage space in the attic where my parents rented for a year. Camus and Murphy moved to 2 other houses. This is me doing a product review at that house that they rented. Bowie always wanted to be around, and Bowie was an example of why they call Ragdolls puppy cats, because they can be like a dog where they're around all the time, and that was how he was. Like, he'd follow you. You could be like, come on, Murph, let's go. You're coming? And he would, you know, follow you right down the hallway if you asked him to. So I mentioned that Camus and Murphy had very different body types. They also had very different coats. Camus's was more like plush and velvety, and Beau's was soft and silky.
You want to go for a walk? Meow. 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 Beau, hungry kitty? Beau?
Here's Murphy playing with a yo-yo that my mom played with. Another example, just a puppy cat always around, ready to be part of the party. He greeted people at the door. You know, if mom had like a meeting at the house or whatever, he would be all part of that. This was this is my parents' now dog, Parker. He's 5, I think, now. This is him as a puppy. It was Camus and Murphy's like 4th or 5th German Shepherd, I think, at that point. And you can tell that like Murphy just hanging around, you know, watching him, see what goofball young pup was gonna do now. Here's an example of Murphy putting him in his place.
Murphy, he's just trying to get his bottle.
We like this. Beau, you're hungry?
Murphy outside again. I let Murphy and Camus out a lot when I would go over there, especially like if it wasn't a flea problem time of year, because they didn't have flea control. And actually I thought that the grounding from the earth would help Murphy, who had a little bit of a history of seizures. This is my cat Trig and Murphy. Trig and Murphy got along really, really well. They played together. This is at my parents' lake house. And this is when all 4 cats would get together, because if I went and visited my parents down there, then my cats would be with their cats. That's my cat Charlie smelling Camus. So you got Camus, Charlie, Trig there, and then Murphy off by himself. Charlie and Murphy would always kind of fight for dominance when all 4 of them were together. And I would make sure that Murphy would win, much to Charlie's dismay. But Murphy challenged my Rags when he was maturing, and I told him that when Rags died, he could be top cat. So I just kept that promise to him over the years. Camus and Murphy, man, they really loved each other. It's cool to have a bonded pair of cats, but it's sad when one dies, because you don't know how the other one will be. Interestingly enough, in that footage, Murphy's coat looked absolutely terrible, like he was a kidney cat, and his kidneys were really good when he passed away. He went in for like an idiopathic lung infection that they couldn't figure out, and then he ended up having a grand mal seizure, which the doctor said basically his systems were shutting down. But he had had seizures leading up to that. He had had seizures, I think, since he was 6 or 8, randomly, and my mom would find him at the end of it, or a couple times she found him during it. So I have videos of that, which is pretty horrific to see. This is Bowie in 2020, still, you know, jumping up and feeling pretty good. We got him, we changed vets in 2020 and got him off of some of the drugs that his traditional vet had him on. And he was getting fluids, and he was getting some omega-3s, some other supplements, Chinese herbs for his seizures. He had a really good last 6 months. The idiopathic lung infection was a very strange thing that happened, and he went so quickly. My mom and I still can't get over how quickly that it all transpired.
Did you get it?
Once Camus died, I switched with my sister, switched on and off with my sister. Bowie was getting fluids every other day. So he was in renal failure, but in earlier stages, and didn't need fluids daily. Didn't really need fluids at all, according to our new vet. But our new vet said that he could benefit, so it wouldn't hurt to give him fluids every other day. So my sister and I switched off and did that. Murphy surprised me. I thought it would be impossible to give him fluids, and he was really good. In fact, after Camus died, I would find him sleeping underneath my parents' bed or sleeping upstairs in one of the guest beds. And as soon as I woke him up, he got up to go downstairs yes, I want my fluids, please give me my fluids. Here's a video I did creating slippery elm, which I think helped with inflammation in Murphy's gut, but primarily helped him poop. And again, he was just a really good patient. I thought he would be very difficult, and I was impressed with what a good patient he was. He really surprised me. It reminded me of how he was with my cats. My cats when they were kittens, when he met them, I didn't know him as well as I thought I knew him. This is Bo outside, I don't know, maybe April or May before he died in June. And he would love to go and sit in the sun and bathe. And so I would take him out there so that he could enjoy some sun. And I'm glad that he did. And my mom took him out a lot too. after Camus passed. Alright guys, that wraps up my video of my parents' 16-year-old cat Murphy, who passed away in 2021. Thank you so much for watching, and please tell me about a beloved cat of yours that passed away that you still think about, love, maybe look at videos of or look at photos of. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.